Hey everyone, this is Shahid Iqbal with Rang Film Festival. This year's podcasts are sponsored by AmericanUrdu.tv, and I am so excited to be talking with Safyah Usmani, who has just graced us with her presence at the Rang Film Festival. My God, I think the idea for Rang Film Festival was to discover Pakistanis in US and Canada, and I think we are achieving that because I absolutely did not know about you, Safyah, and all the good work that you have done. Getting to do projects that get nominated by the Emmys and things like that. So our audiences are brand new because, as I said, Pakistani-American Creative Show is discovering its audiences in US and Canada and even in Pakistan and other places. So, Safyah, give us a little bit of a background. Where were you born? What was your brought up? And then how did you get into creativity?
First, thank you for having me. It's not just that you are discovering Pakistani talent. I'm very happy to be here because I'm discovering, the community here that I absolutely need. Being new to the US, myself, it's just been a couple of years I've been here, and I'm actively looking for, apne log, filmmaker community, Pakistani filmmaker community. So that's one. But getting back to your question, I was born in Karachi, raised in Karachi, lived most of my life in Karachi. But as of past 10 years, I've been working as a documentary filmmaker, and I've worked in about more than 8 countries. And I've always been, even before I knew the terms like storytelling, social justice, or journalism, I found myself naturally telling stories, be it in a written form. I've been writing poems since the age of 10, or be it in, a visual form. I've been drawing things or actually writing to children's newspapers, and magazines, and talking about random things, like I grew up in Karachi, and there was a big issue of power outage. So light chali jati thi.
Light chali jati.
Exactly, light chali jati thi. And we were used to that. But then there were times when I had to study and there was no light, right? So I was like, I should write to this children's magazine about this to the editor and raise my voice and make things change. And honestly, that's where it started from. And then once
activism.
I was like, okay, I'm going to write this thing. I wrote a letter and it had to be sent. So I told my dad, we have to go to the postal, to the post office and just mail it. And once that happened, they weren't expecting this to be published. This is the first one. And it got published when the Sunday, the newspaper came in, the magazine came, and it got published. And I'm getting calls from all over, like my entire khandan is calling. I'm a celebrity that day, and I'm very proud. And I still to date have that, edition. Yes, I have that edition because in my head, I was a journalist that day, In my head, I was speaking up for the people of my neighborhood, of my house. And that sense, I just really loved that. And I think till date, I just like to hold that sense of, speaking up for things that I want to speak up for because I want certain kind of impact. Whether or not it has an impact, that's beyond me, So I cannot promise that. And I should not dream about that. What I should dream about is every day, if I get an idea that I want to see a change, whether in myself or around me, I should do something about that. Whether it's writing a poetry, whether it's writing, making a documentary, or whether it's going to events and talking to people about it. Right?
Wonderful.
That's till date what I have been, fueled by. The time I found out about it, the deadline was over. I was like, I'm still going to try. And I sent it. I sent in the application. I got in. I worked really hard over the, next few months. And then we found out of those 12 students, 4 films would be selected to go to a festival in London. And the filmmakers will be sent with the film.
Wow.
Now remember, up till this point, I did not grow up with money. Up till this point, I had never left Pakistan. And I'm an undergrad student. And I'm like, I need to be, somehow be one of those 4 kids. And it happened. I'm sitting in my class one evening. I get a call from British High Commission. I pick it up and they're like, you've been selected. Next week you have to come to Islamabad along with your passport so that we could stamp the visa. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's great. I got selected. I hang up, and before I enter back in my class, I'm like, wait a second, I need to call my dad. I call him and I'm like, yaar Abbu, mere paas to passport nahi hai. I have to go next week to get it stamped. And my dad is a trooper. He is the wing, the wind behind me. He was like, okay, let me find a way to get it done. And that's another story how he got it done. But I had my passport, and then I went to the British High Commission and then I got the visa and I went to London. And it was then that I saw, I'm sitting there with this film. It was a 12-minute short film. First time ever, a documentary that I made. And I'm sitting there in London where I have never been, in a room very much like this, with a room full of people who are watching my film. They do not understand the language of the documentary, but they understood the rawness. They understood the human emotion, and we could connect. It was then that I was like, oh my God, a new window of communication has opened up. Up till this point, I was perhaps just writing for, kids' magazines and newspapers or on blogs. And I would love when people would write back to me that I understand what you're talking about and I go through that.
Yeah, connecting with the audience.
And now I'm sitting, bringing something about my culture. That story that I see on my streets in Karachi, sitting here in London in front of these people who don't know me, I don't know them. And they're like, oh, we haven't experienced this, but we have experienced something similar.
Yeah.
And that is, bringing us together. And I was like, oh, this is what I'm going to do.
Wonderful. Oh my God. You explained it so well that I was almost in London and sitting through that festival that you just spoke about. So, Safyah, where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 5 years? What is keeping you busy? What are you working on? What can you share with us?
Another thing that I've learned is, and I say that often, we think we plan life, but really it's the life that's planning everything. You're going to be successful and you're going to be happy when you learn to submit and go with the flow, to be in the moment and see what opportunities are around you and, run with them, as opposed to, just having this very strict and rigid idea of who you are and what you are able to do. Having said that, I've recently moved to the US. I'm very new.
How new are you?
I moved towards the end of 2021.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
to Houston?
No, I'm not in Houston. So I moved to San Francisco. From there, I went to Orange County. From there, I went to LA, which I did not like at all. And now I have moved to Austin. It's just been a few months. So, it's been like finding that home, that community where I feel at home. At the same time, I'm developing a project that I cannot talk much about. But another thing that I'm doing that I'm really excited for is I'm building an agency where what I want to do is, again, a story. I've been making documentaries.
Right.
We all know documentary has a niche audience. And to create an impact, you need a big audience. You need a sort of outreach that can reach as many audiences as possible. I'm driven by the idea of social impact. And I have done a lot of documentary work in the past. So what now I want to do is bring together the brand via brand storytelling, socially impactful, mission-driven brands, and bring the documentary style of storytelling, which is real and raw and human, and merge them too. So that way I get the funding, I get the audience, I get to tell my stories, and I keep it real and raw, and it's not advertisement.
Wow. Like you just put the solution together.
Fingers crossed. Yeah, so that's what I'm working towards, to find collaborators, to find, socially driven brands to collaborate with, perhaps a business savvy partner, and all of that things. So all good things.
Wonderful, wonderful. तो आ गई हो अमेरिका 2021 से, तो एडजस्टमेंट सारी ज़िंदगी पाकिस्तान में गुजार के यहाँ पे आके वो एडजस्टमेंट में थोड़ी प्रॉब्लम हुई या 3-4 साल में सब स्मूथ आउट हो गया?
एडजस्टमेंट में प्रॉब्लम एक सेंस में. When I was right after my A-levels, I could not wait to get out of my house, right? Because I was like, I'm an independent woman.
अच्छा, wait a second. कितने siblings हैं? मतलब किसी ने नहीं कहा कि इसको क्यों जाने दे रहे हैं, और मतलब कोई रुकावट नहीं आई?
रुकावट कभी भी in my house किसी चीज में रुकावट नहीं है. If you have a vision and you want to go work hard at it,
और ये सब
go
लोग
do
कराची
it.
में रहते हैं?
ये सब कराची में. So one of my sisters is now in. She actually completed her master's on an Erasmus Mundus scholarship in psychology, organizational psychology, and she's in Spain. She just completed that in Spain. My other sister is in Canada, and my younger brother is in Karachi. And my parents keep hopping around in different places. यहाँ कैसे पहुँच गई मुझे, honestly, like I said, there are things that you plan, and sometimes life plans itself. I have always been, and I think I will always be, very, very career driven and almost a workaholic. So the 4 years leading up to 2021, I can say I hardly took a day off. You know, I was working on 2 very big projects that led me to the external validations that I got in the form of, being twice nominated for Emmy, or one getting picked up by MTV documentary films. And once that happened, it was, COVID. And I felt like I got enough external validation to perhaps take a bit of a break, you know. And I was
now,
like,
why take a break?
That's what I'm saying. I was like, Safyah, I'm allowing you to take 3 months break and just chill, and then get back to it. That happened, and I came to the US to just see some friends. One thing led to another. 2 weeks in, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Why am I not working? What am I doing with my life? Oh my God, everyone's going just, doing amazing things, and I'm just sitting here. I got to do something. And I started, one thing happened, and one thing led to another, and this startup reached out to me. And they were like, we like your work, and maybe you could help us with the content strategy. I was like, oh, that's great, but I'm thinking to go back to Pakistan. I mean, that's where I've, imagined, the kind of stories I want to tell.
Right.
That's where it is. One thing led to another. They really wanted me, I guess, so they sponsored my visa. I got my permanent residency within a few months. And I was like, oh, so life had to happen this way. This wasn't my plan, not at all. And I say it openly. That wasn't my plan at all.
नहीं, तुम सही कह रही हो. I mean, मैं भी जब यूसुफ से मिलने गया था तो film festival was not even a thing, So sometimes you have to let life drive you.
That's
rather
when good
than
things happen.
You try to drive life. Yeah.
To answer your actual questions, because I digressed earlier, because I've been traveling all around the world over the past 10 years, तो वो cultural issue ऐसा नहीं हुआ. But to not have, I had a very good routine of, working 5 days, 6 days, and then on the weekend, going for a brunch with my girlfriends, and then, taking my parents, we would go for dinners or whatever, living with my family, Ammi, Abu, all of that. The age that I moved out of the country, now on the weekends I don't have my sets of girlfriends, for breakfast or brunches or for walks. I don't have that. And it may sound like it's nothing, but it's a huge thing to, have that sense of camaraderie, that close girlfriends, knit of girlfriends, one. Second, at this age I'm aging, so are my parents, right? I have left them behind. This guilt of leaving your parents behind.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
That is one thing that I haven't been able to grapple with, of my dad is in his 70s, my mom in her late 50s, or maybe 60s, I don't remember. But the point is, how many, okay, so I'm going to go, the best that I could do perhaps is go once a year, right? That's not how life should be.
No.
Family is not about that. Family, to me, has always been about, if I'm sitting in my room and Ammi is sitting in another room and I'm getting bored, I'll go up and, go bug her, I'll just go bug her. I'll be like, oh, what are we doing? Let's go do something. Or if my sister has fever, she's sitting in her room and I'm in my room, I go take care of her. Now, if I have fever, sometimes I cannot tell my mom, because she's sitting continents away and she won't be able to do anything about it. And me as an adult, I should find a way to safeguard her sense of calm that my daughter is okay, So these are the things I've started thinking about a lot, about aging, about this new structure of family where you are like just dispersed all around the world.
Long-term parent and
exactly, all of those things. Other than that, the search for finding your community is on. And that's why I'm so grateful to have found Rang Film Festival, which just happened by chance, complete chance, just 2 weeks ago, And I was like, I was waiting for this day. And the moment I stepped in this room, I felt a sense of home, It really felt like that. Thank you so much for organizing this. And before you ask me your next question, I know what your next question is going to be.
You've been listening a lot.
Yeah, I've been listening. So before you ask your next question, my only one thing to you would be don't stop. No matter what, don't stop.
Thank you. No, it's experiences like these, it's people like these, the films and, Zishan and Jafar Bhai. कैसे कोई रुक सकता है, राइट? कैसे कोई रुक सकता है? और हम सब इतनी जल्दी एक दूसरे के दोस्त बन जाते हैं. और इनका नया वेंचर है americanurdu.tv, हमारी फेस्टिवल नया वेंचर है, ठीक है ना. अगर कुछ भी नहीं कर सके तो एक ऐसी यादों का सिलसिला शुरू करेंगे जो हमेशा हमें याद करके हंसाएंगी. तो what do we have to lose, Safyah? What do we have to lose? It's too late to go back. नहीं, thank you very much for coming from Austin. और I think जैसे तुमने कहा कि लाइफ को प्लान नहीं करना चाहिए, लाइफ खुद आपको प्लान करती है. तो तुम जितना रंग से दूर भाग रही थी, कैलिफोर्निया इधर उधर, उतना तुम रंग के करीब आ गई. Exactly. Wonderful. Thank you very much. Wishing you all the best. Or there is no shortage of content and storytelling. We're all in it together.